there we go. Our next speaker, standing there. And it might be that you right now sit here and feel that your or your company's data is safe. And that is probably about to change. I've had the privilege of meeting Linus here a few times, and after every conversation we've had, after every presentation I've seen by him, I've left with a distinct feeling of being 1 or 2 steps behind, and there is so much unknown territory for me. And I hope that says more about him than about me. He presents himself as an ethical hacker, and as you might have noticed, he was part of this Swedish TV series Hacked in English, which we will hear more about now. Linus Kvarnhammar.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. It's an honor, definitely, among all these good speakers. So I'm going to talk about the TV series Hacked. First, a few words about me, my background. I started at IKEA in 1998 with IT operations, doing Windows servers and PCs and networks, especially during the Y2K transition, traveling around the world, upgrading systems. Then I studied computer science in Gothenburg and Singapore because I've always liked programming, and took a job after that at the Dotway, or that later became J-Way or merged into J-Way. So worked 5 years as a software developer. Worked also with the Öredev program committee there, and then in 2011 I transitioned into security by starting at TrueSec in Stockholm, and then I worked for F-Secure as a security consultant in Copenhagen, and since 2017, I've been running my own freelance cybersecurity consulting firm. So I do penetration testing. I've been doing that since 2011. So I've probably done like 300 plus pen tests or something by now. Quickly about the TV series. We did it in 2021. How many here have seen it? Oh, good. Maybe 50%. We did six episodes. I'm going to talk about 3 of them here today. The purpose of the TV series was a little bit reality, not reality in the normal sense, but to hack normal people, celebrities and companies in a real way, to show what it looks like, but also to make good TV, to make cybersecurity awareness more prevalent, so to speak. It's worth noting that we had 3 recording days per episode. So we had 1 calendar week per episode with 3 recording days, and we could do whatever we want the other 2 days, prepping. So that's not very much time for all the hacks we did. We were pretty stressed out in the end. And it's also worth noting that, of course, everyone we hacked, some way they consented to this, even though some of them might have not known what they consented to. But that's up to the lawyers at SVT. By the way, if you don't know, SVT is the Swedish public service TV channel or channels. And this would never have been what it became without my 3 fellow hackers, Ginny Ramsmark, David Jacobi, and Jesper Larsson. Jesper Larsson, the always positive guy. This will work out because I'm from Gothenburg. Their energy is like nothing I've seen before. They can work all day, all night, but then they will crash very hard. But they get a lot of accomplished in that time, and they live and breathe hacking. I mean, they've done that since they were teenagers. So big shout out to them. And I'm going to start about talking about episode 1, where the purpose was to hack private people, with the subtitle "I've got nothing to hide," because that's a lot of people say that. I've got nothing to hide, so who want to hack me? But and we wanted to target regular people's email addresses and social media accounts, because that's typically where you find the good stuff on private people. And also SVT really wanted us to track someone in real time, their location. So we had that in the back of our mind as like a goal. So to accomplish this, or to get the participants, SVT created what they called the digital experiment. They announced it on Facebook, and they said that people should sign up if they want to be on this TV program, and it was pretty vague what the purpose was. And then they picked 20 people to come to an office that SVT set up for a casting situation. So this is the place where we're going to hack them. So we set up all the hacks we could think of: Wi-Fi attacks, phishing attacks, social engineering attacks, malicious USB sticks, and also we looked for leaked passwords in like hacked databases that are published online. Either that you can download for free or you can purchase. We stored terabytes of those leaked databases for occasions such as this and other. But when you see this list, just a rhetorical question: what do you think is most successful? Do you think? Yeah. I can say Wi-Fi attack that failed. That's yeah. Well, they used the Wi-Fi, but our attacks on the Wi-Fi didn't get us anywhere. Okay, and they showed up to this location. It looked something like this. We had some rigged TV cameras, and there was a moving TV camera walking around, so to speak. And they came in groups of 5. And the fifth, you can see 4 people here. The 5th person was always Jesper. So Jesper acted as a mole. So he was doing the social engineering, as you will see later. And the purpose for them, and you can see on the top right there, there's a mirror. So we're sitting behind a mirrored window, trying to hack them, watching them as we do that. And the purpose or the pretext, the reason for them doing our stuff, so to speak, was they were supposed to fill out a form about their cyber habits or whatever, and they were also being interviewed by SVT after they've done this. So to do this, they needed to sign up in a portal that we made. In this portal, of course, you could sign up, create a new user account, or you could use single sign-on and sign in with Facebook, Twitter, or Google. If you click Facebook here, do you think you were redirected to Facebook, or do you think you were redirected to our version of Facebook? Yeah, so this way we stole passwords if they choose either of these options. We stored them, logged them in a text file, and then we presented a text or an error message. So this is Frida, and she's showing Jesper her laptop with some error message after she entered her password. And that's when the social engineering part comes in. So Jesper said, yeah, SVT told me that I can use this USB stick instead, because the form is also on the USB stick. And so he had his pockets full of USB sticks prepped for Mac and Windows. And also for various reasons we had to have multiple. How many do you think we got passwords for? All of them. And backdoors. So these USB sticks had what looked like a PDF file, and you clicked it, it opened a PDF file, but it also installed the backdoor. We got 7 of the laptops infected with the backdoor. They were all the Macs, because Mac doesn't have antivirus. And I did the backdoor for the Windows part. I worked all day, long into the night, fixed the backdoor for Windows, tested it with Windows Defender, but then for some reason when we executed it, probably because of heuristics, what we tried to do with the computer, Windows Defender caught it. So props to Windows for that and Microsoft. So we had these 20 people when they left the building that day, all of them. We picked out 2 people to dig further into. One of them was Frida. So we had her password for her Gmail account, for her LinkedIn account. And we could notice when she was sitting there, she was chatting to one guy in particular. They were like getting friendly. So Jesper, when she looked at her LinkedIn account and her Google account, he could see that she Googled this guy. He looked him up on LinkedIn. Jesper activated location services on her Google account, could see that she was currently in Gothenburg. I think that was the day after. So we felt we had an opportunity to track her physical location and make SVT happy to make a good TV. So actually, when we're looking at her email address, email inbox, we found train tickets saying that she will be arriving in Malmö like in 20 minutes. So we jumped in the car with the camera crew and found her on the platform just as she arrived. Turns out you can't film on the platform, so we had to quickly rush up outside of the train station, and everyone was instructed to bring the laptop. They were instructed to bring their personal laptop because we didn't want to hack a company. That would not be good because the company didn't sign any consent, I guess. This is the facial expression of someone who brought their friend's laptop. And Jesper telling her, "We hacked your laptop," and she's like, yeah, but that worked out well. Anyway, so okay, the other person we picked was Andreas Lundberg. We did not have a backdoor on his computer, but we found, and we didn't have the password for his Gmail account. He had a Gmail account as a primary account, but what we did find in online leaked databases was the password for his live account. And the live account was connected to Facebook, Snapchat, Microsoft 365, etc. And if you unfold that, we password resetted his Facebook account, and then he used Facebook to authenticate to a bunch of other services that we also had access to. And he was using Microsoft 365 Family Safety to manage his family with V-Bucks for the kids, connected to PayPal, screen time, etc. So we own that as well. So at this point, we showed all of this to him, and he felt pretty owned, especially as he couldn't log into Facebook on his phone anymore until we gave him his new password. So yeah, that was that. Next episode, the 5th episode, we went to Stockholm for 4 days to hack 2 celebrities. We started with THERESE LINDGREN. I had no idea who she was. But apparently she's famous, I was told by my daughter. She has 1 million followers. So, of course, because she has 1 million followers on YouTube, we had a great vision of us 4 hackers, old hackers, being on her YouTube channel, getting 1 million views from 13-year-olds. So that was our target, publish ourselves on her YouTube channel. So SVT started with like an interview of her in a cafe. And then they thought it would be a good idea if I like bumped into her on the street and took a selfie. Had nothing to do with hacking at that point. They just wanted me to do that, so I did that. And then referred to my daughter, like my daughter is a big fan of you or something like that. And then we thought, because we need to do a phishing campaign against her, maybe we can use this physical, like real situation to connect to the phishing campaign to make it more believable. So Ginny is the phishing master in the crew. So she posted an offensive comment on her YouTube channel. Then she created a new email address being from my daughter, emailing Therese, thanking for the selfie and referring to the bad comment on her YouTube channel. And if she clicked the comment, it was redirected to a Google YouTube phishing site. She did not I think she clicked the link, but she never entered the password. So we failed that one. During the interview, she parked in a parking spot where she couldn't park, and for some reason, we just took a picture. And then we thought, when the first phishing attempt failed, we thought, maybe we can phish her with like, when you social engineering, you can use different tricks, and scaring is one trick, like maybe the fine will increase if I'm not paying it, etc. So we sent her an SMS phish with a picture of her own car, linked to the Parking Stockholm's website we set up very quickly, that in turn linked to, I think, Google or Facebook login. She did not click that. Failed. We went to her apartment to try to hack her Wi-Fi. Not really, wouldn't really accomplish anything by that, but it made for a good TV, and I got to wear the spy glasses that you can see in the picture. David there is holding the directional antenna, but there were too many Wi-Fi networks there. We couldn't find anyone that were hers. But we did a lot of things. We also prepped a Mac backdoor, or we took the backdoor we used in episode 1, renamed it, printed a nice letter, put it in an envelope, and it said something like, "You've been nominated for an award. Please, for further information, run the malware on this USB stick," basically. That failed. So everything failed. And last year, so we failed everything. We spent a lot of efforts on it. And last year she had her car window crashed or smashed, and someone took her computer, and she was quoted in the newspaper saying, I got my computer stolen. I didn't have a password on it. I learned so many lessons. So apparently we are worse hackers than this burglar. No, kidding aside, this is terrible. I hope she recovers. But interesting how some things work and some things don't work. Okay, and SVT was of course delighted that we couldn't hack the young female celebrity because that makes sense in media. So then we felt we really have to hack this old or my age comedian. So Christopher is, most of you know, a TV show host, comedian, and he's making fun of people on TV. And this screenshot here is making fun of the CEO of Gunnebo, which is a large Swedish security company. They were hacked, and the CEO said, we were hacked despite having double passwords. So he made fun of him for that. So we thought that we want to make fun of Christopher. This is going to be fun. But we had 10 hours to do this because we spent most of our time in Stockholm on THERESE. And of course, we looked at leaked databases. We found 2 passwords for him, Katamaran, lowercase, and Hata SJ, which means hate SJ. SJ is the public training company. So we had those 2 passwords. We tried them out for his online accounts, failed. And then basically our schedule looked like this. In the morning, 9 o'clock, SVT was going to meet Christopher for like a pre-interview about his digital habits or whatever. And in the evening, we were supposed to debrief him on how we hacked him. So we have 10 hours here. And this is actually my calendar and the Teams meeting we booked with Christopher. We actually named it Hata SJ. So, okay, but to accomplish anything during these 10 hours, we felt we need some kind of shortcut. We have no in on him. So we decided that Jesper is going to be a mole again. He was a mole in episode 1. So Jesper showed up for this morning meeting with a USB stick with a malware for Mac that we used in episode 1. And while they were interviewing him, Christopher, there you can see in the background, Jesper plugged in the malware, got it executed, and me and David was outside in the car having control over the command and control server to which this backdoor connects. So, and instantly when it connects, of course, the laptop could be shut off at any time because he might finish the interview, close the computer, go to the gym or whatever. So we copied all the files we could from his profile. What files would you copy if you huh? Cookies, yeah, good idea. Keychain, yes. Have you seen the show? Yeah, so we tried to copy like his entire Dropbox because I had a lot of like media files there. But we also copied his user profile, the application data files. And he was storing something like 200 passwords in the Chrome password manager, which is located in a small SQLite database file, so it's very easy to copy. But the passwords are encrypted, so that you can see the URL and you can see the username, but you can't see the password. But we could see there are 200 very interesting accounts that we want access to. How do you unlock these? Anyone know? Huh? Reset password? I mean, they're encrypted. The encryption key is located in the keychain. The keychain is also a file that you can copy, which we did. But the keychain is, of course, protected with the password for the Mac, the one you log in with. Okay, so now we have offline files. We have files on our computers that we can guess passwords for, or we can guess this password. If we guess this password right, it will open the keychain, which will open the Chrome database, Chrome password database. So it's all about guessing passwords as quickly as possible offline, which is pretty quick, depending on the hash algorithm. So basically what we do is we take a lot of common passwords, and these are some common passwords that we would use maybe on an online guessing. If you use these, maybe 100 passwords on an internal network for a regular company, you will most often get some accounts. Summer 2023 will be the most common password this year. together with the company name 2023. But of course, we need more passwords than this. So this is my password cracking process. I use public word lists, like RockU is a famous public word list with 14 million leaked passwords in plain text. So basically you have had 14 million users entering passwords that they think are good, that we then can use to try to crack other people's passwords. And then you combine that with private word lists. So basically all the passwords I've cracked in my history with different methods, I put into one file that I keep, and I add that to this. But let's say you have summer in the word list, then you want to have variations like summer exclamation mark, summer dot, summer 1, 2, 3, etc. So then you apply rule sets, long list of rule sets on each word, on maybe 30 million words or something. So for every word in that list or in all the lists, you apply these patterns, rules. Pretty effective, which means like, let's say you have Zlatan 2009 in your password list because someone used it, then you will maybe crack Zlatan 2009 666 exclamation mark because you have a rule that adds 3 digits and a special character. So you can crack pretty complex passwords. And of course everything you crack goes back into the private word list. So next time you crack, or if you run it again, you have more password cracking material. And then in the end, in my password cracking process, I have a long list of these patterns. So this means U for uppercase, L for lowercase, and D for digit, and the red S for a special character. So this way you can like brute force try to crack passwords that have a common pattern or commonly used pattern instead of just in a more dumb way try every possible combination. And this way you can easily go through all 8 or maybe 9 character passwords. And on a side note, if I do this like an internal penetration test on a company and I get domain admin, which is typical, get all the hashes from the company and then try to crack them, 80% is typically cracked using my method. But of course that varies depending on the company. It could be interesting to know what speeds we can crack passwords at. In this case we need to crack Apple Keychain, which with my graphics card that you can see down to the right, so about 2 million password guesses per second. But if you do this with Active Directory, that would be the MTLM row, the 4th one, you have 50 billion per second. So you have a pretty high speed of guessing passwords. So, okay, so we are in the hotel room in Stockholm. We have his keychain, we have our lists, and to the lists, of course, we've added THERESE and Catamaran because we know that he likes those passwords. And we use our GPUs, and we have our computers at home running at this as well. But no success, and time is ticking. And as we were cracking, I was thinking, like, how can he have picked? I mean, he won't be using a large passphrase. I don't think so. So how can he have picked his password? I thought, yeah, typical people, or a lot of people use years, and they use maybe the last 4 digits of a social security number. So I thought, let's long shot, but I'll call Skatteverket, the Swedish tax authority, and I'll ask for all the social security numbers and date of births of all the people in his family. And they gave that to me, and I added that to the list, and also added to the end of his favorite password. So I added 2009 to THERESE and the 4 last digits of his kids' social security numbers to the end of Catamaran and THERESE, and then put it into the password cracking process again, and this was his password. So we were really happy. This was maybe like 5 p.m. or something in Stockholm. And we had this meeting with him 19:30 in the evening. So we quickly found some Python scripts that will take the key from the keychain, use that to unlock or decrypt all the passwords in the Chrome password store manager. Created a nice PDF with all the passwords in plain text, 200 of them. FTP servers, online accounts, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And because Jesper was there in the morning, he went back in the evening and told Christopher that he was in fact one of the hackers. And he said something like, have you checked your Instagram lately? And he was like, no, shit, you haven't posted anything on Instagram. Yes, we had. So I logged in on my phone with his account, took this picture. Ginny is on the TV there remotely from Malmö, recommending double passwords or even triple passwords to be extra secure. And then when we had this Teams meeting with him, because me and David was in the hotel room having a remote meeting, as his computer was up and we still had a backdoor, David executed the PDF with his plain text passwords, so it popped up on the screen while we were having this meeting, and he was like, this is tough because these are not only my passwords, so like shared SVT file shares and stuff like that, I believe. Okay, that was that. Next episode was episode number 2, subtitle Can You Hack a City, where we targeted Helsingborgshem, which is, what do you say, like a public company that owns public housing for rental apartments. They have 12,000 apartments in Helsingborg, and if you want one of those, of course you need to be in a queue, and that queue needs to be fair. I.e. you shouldn't be able to manipulate it. So together with Helsingborgshem, we decided that's one of the targets, if you can hack the network and manipulate the queue. And then another target is the database of all the residents, because there are certain, I mean, in general, that database would be sensitive, but there are also extra sensitive people in there that could be politically exposed people and people for other reasons that have a protected identity. And together with Helsingborgshem, we decided that we want to do social engineering for both for good TV and because they wanted it, and then we want to combine that with network hacking. So the CIO, Richard, and the CEO was basically the only people at Helsingborgshem that knew about this. And in the interview before we started, he said, "I think the social engineering attack is going to succeed, but I don't think the network attack is going to succeed." Which is interesting. I'm not sure what he based that on. If he had a huge internal security team monitoring everything, or if he was just optimistic. Probably the latter, I think. But okay, so our plan for this was to use a small computer, Raspberry Pi, that we typically use. We have these prepped so that when you plug them into the network, they will connect out to our command and control server on the internet using various channels, VPN and SSH typically. Could also use 4G. And then we did some reconnaissance of their office premises. They had a new office premises or new office building with these kind of doors that open and close pretty shut. And one method of getting into a building, because we wanted to get into the building and plug it in somewhere and hide it, and then we could remotely connect back to this computer, basically giving us a VPN access in. So tailgating is the process of following someone through an open door where you are not supposed to be able to go. But this will be pretty hard with this kind of door. And this was COVID times, there were very few people in the office. So we decided this is not going to be tailgating, it's not an option. And then we decided on using a plan that I've used before successfully, and that is emailing the receptionist or reception telling from a person that works at the company, telling them that an external consultant is coming and that he needs a meeting room. So I bought this domain, helsingborgshem.se, but it's not helsingborgshem.se, it's helsingborgshem.se. The third letter is an I. In this case, it's written with an uppercase I. But when you receive that email, of course it depends on how the email client will display uppercase, lowercase. But even if it displays lowercase, it will be pretty tricky to differentiate the L and the I. But we bought this domain, set up an inbox for Richard, used the same font and the signature that he's using, and then emailed the receptionist telling them that in 15 minutes or so, a consultant is coming named David Jacobi, one of the hackers, and he needs a meeting room because we're going to do some investigation or something like that. So David goes to the receptionist. He has his hidden camera. So this is a screenshot from the camera in his shoulder bag. They got the email. They believed the email, but they said, we need to call Richard because that's, yeah, we just call him to make sure that this is legit, which is very good, a good practice. We thought about that though, so we had SVT, we had a person from SVT also calling Richard to keep the line busy. And we hoped that she would be like, yeah, he's busy. Okay, you can go in. But they kept calling him, and David was getting a little bit more nervous, but he played the part perfectly. But they kept on insisting that they should call Richard, and eventually the line was free. He answered, and our attempt failed. Access denied, owned by the receptionist. We were bummed out, but again, we learned that this is good TV because you need drama. You need to fail before you can succeed, etc. But we were pretty bummed out and we went to Väla, the shopping center, to eat lunch, and we had no idea what to do next. And the camera guy said, but they have an old office. They just moved to this new office. We can check out the old office, which we did. So we went there, looked through the windows. It was pretty empty. There were some jackets laying around, but it looked like most of it was moved from there. We couldn't find a way in, so we sat in the car, looked at the Wi-Fi, long shot, maybe we can hack the Wi-Fi and get onto the internal network. And then while doing that, we saw that there was another back door where someone entered. So I grabbed the shoulder bag with the Raspberry Pi and the hidden camera, and I walked up to this door, hoping for someone else to come and open this door for us, because the door is locked. And then 10-15 minutes later, someone came, opened the door, and it was one of these nice doors that open and close very slowly. So I grabbed the door before it was shut, and I walked into the office premises. And the person who walked in before me, he was way gone then. I could hear some chatter around this somewhere in the office, but I couldn't see any people. To the left here, you can see a meeting room called Blåmusslan. Turns out that there are some people in there. But I walked around the office and looking for a network cable to plug in my Raspberry Pi and also be able to hide it somehow. Found it and plugged it in. And then you want to see the blinking lights, right? You want to see that this computer is connected to the switch, being able to send network traffic back and forth, which it did. But I can't be completely sure that it actually connects to my server on the internet. And this is actually the only fake scene in the entire TV series, because when I did this, I pointed the hidden camera to the wrong direction. So this is filmed under my desk at home, because we wanted to have the blinking lights. But of course, you plug this in, and then you need to go to a safe space to breathe and to make sure that you have connection to this Raspberry Pi from the internet. So the safest place is the toilet. So I went to the toilet. I called my friends on the outside, Jesper in this case. And I was standing there with my winter jacket on, with my shoulder bag, AirPods in. And he was stopping his car. He was on the highway, SSHing into the server in the cloud to see if the Raspberry Pi connection was there. And then the meeting room empties. I could hear a lot of chatter just outside the door. I was like, fuck, I didn't lock the door. If I lock it now, maybe they will hear the lock. That's strange that you lock it like very late after you enter the toilet. If they open the door, I will be standing there in my winter jacket, talking to the mirror and AirPods. That would look strange. So that was a bit nervous. But eventually Jesper came back. He sent a selfie, and also he sent confirmation that he has access to the Raspberry Pi, which means he can VPN basically back into the network. So I just flushed the toilet for no reason and opened the door and walked out, turned the back on the people that stood there. That was not a problem. They didn't question it or anything. So we got back in the car, drove 1 hour back to, here you can't see it probably, but the timestamp when Jesper confirms that we're in is 15:39. 15:39. 1 hour drive back to Malmö, to our hacking office that SVT decorated. they encouraged us to bring some what do you say, personal items. So the mug is mine there to the right, and the teddy bear is Jesper's. The teddy bear is one of these teddy bears that if you're a parent that travels a lot and you want to like send some messages to your kids, you can give them this teddy bear and place it in their home or in their room, and then you can remotely via an app send like voice messages and stuff like this to this online teddy bear. Now this teddy bear is hacked because Mozilla Foundation paid Jesper and his company to hack it. So when he pressed the button, it said like offensive stuff instead. Anyway, and this was pandemic time, so Foodora was delivering the dinners for us all the time. So we ordered some hamburgers that you can see on the table there. And of course, now we're inside the network, and it's in our minds it looks like this. You know, I mean, you don't know what networks are which, where servers are located, where you can find. Yeah. So the first step is to do reconnaissance, to find the interesting stuff on the network. And we need to get admin access on the servers, which basically domain admin means you can administer every PC and server. And then after that, we want to find these two systems, the database for the residents and the queue. I went after the Windows environment because that's where I'm best. I executed a Responder. It's a tool that will trick Windows clients on the network to authenticate to me instead of to the server. And when they do that, you can steal an authentication hash, which is a hash you can not reuse, but you can crack it. So pretty quickly, I stole one regular user's hash, put it into the same hash cracking process as I talked about before, and pretty quickly cracked it, which means we've gone from local network access to one low privileged account. And what can you do with a random low privileged account? What? Any ideas? Phishing? Yeah. You could send me email from internal email address. Yeah. You could, for instance, look at all the file shares that are open to all the people in the company. But you can also read all the information from Active Directory. Not the sensitive stuff like passwords, but you can read a bunch of other interesting stuff. So we started doing that. We had some hamburgers, and then I found, and this is a very common thing that can be abused in bigger companies, service accounts that use Kerberos you can like get a Kerberos ticket from Active Directory for a service that is configured over there. And if you've set a weak password for the service account, you can crack it offline just with the same process as I've talked about before. And service accounts are often highly privileged. They shouldn't be, but they are. They often don't need to be. But we got another one. We got one of those hashes. I ran it through my hash cracking process when we ate hamburgers, and it came back with a password. And then I said, yeah, let's run this command against the domain controller, and if it's yellow, it means we're domain admin. Yeah, we were domain admin. So one service account for one probably SQL server, over permissioned, bad password, led us to complete takeover of the entire company, and this was 1840. So that was 3 hours from we plugged the Raspberry Pi in, and that included driving from Helsingborg to Malmö and eating hamburgers. And of course, as you always do, you extract all the password hashes from Active Directory if you get domain admin, and then you run them through the password cracking process. Crack about 80% of them, hopefully. And because this is a TV show, we printed it on paper, put it in an envelope, and went back to Helsingborg the next day and gave Richard, the CIO, the plain text passwords. And I think no fault to there. I think this is the most common thing, but I mean, this is a very common thought, or what would you say, like idea that this will not happen to us. We have a strong network security posture, but I think most of us is probably falling for this or vulnerable to this optimism bias that we think this is not going to happen to me, and we probably installed our system securely, etc. I think this is one of the takeaways here. Now we're reaching the end. And what is the common thread of all these hacks? Passwords, passwords, passwords. They are weak, they can be weak, they can be reused, I mean reused between systems. They can be shared among people or administrators, and they can be stolen. And who built these solutions? And now I'm getting to a little bit provocative here. But I think we have failed our users. I think it's pretty obvious that it's 2023 and we're still logging on with passwords. It's a word of 8, 10 letters that prevents someone from owning an entire company, and that's how we do it. Oh, okay, yeah, 2FA, two-factor authentication, yeah, at some places, but that's just a patch, I think. And I have some annoying examples. Somma 2023, as I said, will be the most common password this year, which Google thinks is a strong password. I'm not sure how this works and why they come to that conclusion. If you enter the English word summer 2023, it changes to good. So it's still good enough password. So they have they are looking at English words somehow. If you use LinkedIn, you can use summer 23. That's a good enough password. If you install Microsoft Active Directory today, it will require you to have 8-character passwords to protect your entire organization. One of Sweden's largest industry companies I hacked via the internet, via a cloud service, a couple of years back, and I got domain admin in 1 day or so, because their password for one of the domain accounts was company name 2016 ! So if you install a new Active Directory, you only need 8 characters to protect your entire company. I think we failed the users. This is the case with Helsingborgshem. I mean, domain admin accounts with weak password. By the way, the password can be seen in the TV show as like an Easter egg. Can't tell you exactly where. If you want to set a password in Microsoft 365 and you want to use Swedish characters, which is a really good idea, you can't. I don't know why, but you can't. Doesn't make sense, because if you cracked passwords, you know that cracking localized passwords are more difficult. It's not a full protection, but it's tedious. Yeah, and phishing is a huge problem, and still we can get emails like this in Outlook. The link says something, but it's actually something completely different. I mean, we're training users to click the links because they're clickable, but they can they can take you somewhere completely different. I think we can do better than this. Another thing I think is really strange, someone can perhaps explain this to me afterwards, but if you want to use the Microsoft 365 suite, let's say you go to onenote.com, you enter your password into the URL that says onenote.com. Okay, makes sense. But if you go to sharepoint.com, you're going to enter your password into a URL that says login.live.com. And if you go to office.com, it's same account, same password. You enter your password into login.microsoftonline.com. So I mean, how can we expect the users to know if there's another hostname showing up? We as an industry have designed these solutions, and then we expect the users to be smart enough to not get phished. I don't think it makes sense, and I think we need to take responsibility for that. But there are some good stuff happening. Like mobile bank ID, scanning a QR code, no passwords involved, Microsoft Windows Hello, and Apple Passkeys that rolled out last year. I think these are the future, and I think it's up to you, to us, to embrace these, to implement these in the systems we build, in the applications, and learn, teach the end users how to use these and get away from passwords. Thank you. That's what I have.